How to apply for Canada work permit? Is Canada work permit easy to get? In this discussion, I'm going to answer most of these questions. Hello everyone, it's Fraz here. So the most common questions that I have been asked from many people many times about Canada work visa are: is Canada work permit easy to get? How to apply for Canada work permit? And is work permit easily converted into a permanent residence? So in this discussion, I'm going to answer most of these questions. We'll explain what are the different types of work permit, how to apply, processing time, processing fees, eligibility requirement, and how this can be converted into a permanent residency eligibility requirements. So stay with me and you will get the answer of most of these questions. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into the types of work permit. Number one is employer specific work permit. In this case, the name of the employer, the duration of your job, and the location of your job is mentioned on the work permit. Few days before, a person was asking me how I can apply for work permit from Pakistan. And this question is like, I want to climb on 23rd floor of a building and I don't know how to go there. Like, is there any elevator or stair? So that's actually the second step. The first step is you have to apply for the job according to your skills, according to your educational qualification. So once an employer agrees to hire you, the employer has to get an LMIA. What is LMIA? This is Labor Market Impact Assessment. That's a positive document, actually a positive LMIA document that shows that there is a need of a foreign worker to fill this particular job and there is no Canadian citizen or permanent resident available with this particular set of skills to fulfill this job. And not all employers are willing to get this document. So you have to keep applying for the job. Once you got the job, you have to apply for the work permit, and that's a straightforward procedure. It's 6 to 8 weeks of processing time. 155 to 255 Canadian dollars is the processing fee. In this case, you are not free actually to work for some other employers. You have to work for the same employer for which you got the work permit. In summary, there are only two steps. You find a job. Once an employer agrees to hire you and get LMIA document, you apply for the work permit, and that's a straightforward procedure. The second type of work permit is open, and that's perhaps the most asked question. Open work permit, unlike employer specific work permit, is not tied to a particular employer. Actually, you can work for multiple employers at multiple locations anywhere in the country. There are 4 different streams of immigration where you can be eligible to get an open work permit. 1, post-graduation open work permit. 2, spousal inland open work permit. 3, international experience Canada. And 4, bridging open work permit. I will talk a little bit about these. Let's first have a little bit look into the benefits of open work permit. First, freedom. You are free to move anywhere in Canada. You can work for any employer of your choice at any location. Second, Canadian work experience. That actually can count towards your eligibility to get a permanent residence under Federal Skilled Worker Program. And third is, if you got a Canadian work experience, you are also getting closer in eligibility requirement to get a permanent residence of Canada under Skilled Worker Program through express entry. Post-graduation work permit is the first stream of work permit, open work permit. and it is issued to any international student who has completed his studies from Canada through designated learning institutes, DLIs. I have discussed about DLIs in my previous video of Canada study visa guidelines. The minimum program duration to get eligible for post-graduation open work permit is 8 months. So your program of study should not less than 8 months of duration. Unlike most Canada work permits, post-graduation work permit does not require an LMIA. Post-graduation work permit, open work permit, also normally not issued longer than the duration of the studies of an applicant. And an applicant must apply for post-graduation open work permit within 180 days of the completion of your studies. In summary, post-graduation open work permit only for those people who have completed their studies in Canada, minimum of 8 months duration. So that's the reason you see I emphasize many times, if you want to come to Canada, consider study. Consider study. Spouse open work permit is the second stream. If your spouse is working or studying in Canada as an international student, you can be eligible to apply for open spouse work permit. Secondly, if you have applied to be sponsored for permanent residence by your partner or spouse in Canada, you can be eligible to apply for an open work permit through spouse. In order to qualify for spousal open work permit, you must qualify some minimum eligibility requirements. Point one is must be in a genuine relationship with a qualifying foreign national, principal applicant, permanent resident or citizen of Canada. Number two, must be eligible to apply as the spouse of a qualifying foreign national or as an in Canada sponsorship applicant and are not criminally or medically inadmissible to Canada. Unfortunately, the third stream of open work permit is not open for either Pakistan or India because these two are not the participating countries. That is International Experience Canada, IEC. There are three subclasses under IEC. They are working holiday visa, international co-op internship, and young professionals. So I'm not going to speak detail about this IEC. If there is a need, we can dedicate a separate session to dive deeper into the eligibility and how it works. The fourth and the final type of open work permit is bridging open work permit that lets foreign nationals to continue to work in Canada while they are waiting for the decision of their permanent residency application. What are the eligibility requirements for bridging open work permit? Must reside in Canada with a valid temporary resident status. Must hold a valid work permit with a valid temporary resident status and have applied for Canadian permanent residency as the principal applicant under any program like federal skilled worker, federal skilled trade or provincial nominee. That's a very straightforward procedure if you have already been living in Canada and working in Canada and you are already applied for permanent residency application under any stream like federal skilled worker, federal skilled trade, Canadian experience class or provincial nominee. You can bridge the gap by getting the open work permit. I'm going to summarize with clear bullet points who can apply for open work permit. Number one, spouses or common law partners of some temporary foreign workers. Spouses or common law partners of some international students. Some international students who have graduated from designated program of studies in Canada. Permanent residency applicants who have applied through the inland spousal sponsorship process, and young workers from participating countries offered through International Experience Canada, and finally refugees, protected persons and their family members. Now you see what are the different types of work permits, eligibility requirements, who can apply, how can apply. If there are still some questions, I would highly encourage you to comment on this video and I will consider replying those questions in my upcoming video. Hope you guys have found some answers of your questions regarding Canadian work permit. If there is still something, please let me know. If you want to know more about me, myself, check my LinkedIn profile. You guys have a wonderful time. See you soon.